Good morning. Today we are continuing on. Yesterday we started our unit talking about those function tables. Today we're going to go a step farther and we're going to look at function tables, and now we're going to learn some new vocabulary words. Once we go through it, the vocabulary words seem a little confusing at first, but once we get it explained, it goes a lot easier. Okay, so I really need us paying attention to those vocab words. We're not doodling, because this is new stuff. We haven't worked with domain and ranges and relations before. So these are new words working on what we already know about graphing and function tables. So we are doing Co47. I can identify the domain and range of a relation. So we have to know what a domain and range are and what a relation is in order to use them together. So a relation is a collection of ordered pairs. We've worked with ordered pairs before. We've done graphing. We can find ordered pairs from a table or graph. So we're taking what we know about those graphs and those function tables like we worked with yesterday, and we're taking it a step farther, looking at those ordered pairs. The domain are all of the x values of a relation. Anyone want to take a wild guess on what the range is going to be? If the domain is the x values, what do you think the range is, Leo?
The y values.
The y values of a relation. So we've used x and y to graph it. Now we're just taking that knowledge a step farther. It is important that we remember domain is x, the range is the y. So we're going to discuss relations in two forms. And then we're going to write the domain and the range for both forms. One form is using the table. One form is finding it on that coordinate plane. Okay. So let's look at that XY table, our input and our output. Who can tell me what the first ordered pair would be? Henry?
-10, -3.
Yeah, -10, -3. That's that first ordered pair. Knowing that these are the x's, who could tell me what our domain would be? Elliot? What else? So this is the easy one. When we have a function table and it says what are the domains, you write all the x's. So what do you think we're going to put for our range? AJ?
All the y's.
All the y's. -3, 0, 8, 2, -1. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The function table is the easier form. On the coordinate plane, we have two things that we graph, lines and segments. The line has those arrows. Remember, what do the arrows tell us? Finley? That it keeps going on and on and on. Our segment has a starting point and a stopping point. So those domains and ranges are going to be different. One that shows it is a line and keeps on going, and one that shows that it is a segment. It starts and it stops. If it is a line, those x's, look at here, we start at 0, 0 is there. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, and it keeps on going with our negatives, keeps on going with our positives. So for a line, our domain, watch carefully how we show this. It is all real numbers. It looks like that. So let me do it up here. All real numbers. That's what that symbol means. Because it's all those negative numbers and all those positive numbers because the line keeps on going. So if it's all of the x's, what do you think our range is going to be? Who wants to take a wild guess? If it's all the x's, all real numbers, what is that range? All the y's, right? It's going to go all the way up and all the way down, so it's going to be all real numbers. So telling me the domain and the range of a line, it's pretty easy. It's all real numbers. So you just have to make this symbol, all real numbers. The last one's the tricky one, that segment. So let's look at that domain. Where does the domain start? Clara?
7.
So up here at that 7, is that the domain? That was the y, that's the range. So what would the domain start at?
1.
1 is right here.
Oh, 5.
Oh, you were close. Doesn't start at 1. Oh, you were looking at the y again. Come over to this one. We don't want the 7. That ordered pair is -1, 7. So it's going to start at that x. So what is that x? Just the x. -1. Right? So we look at that first point, over to the left, look at what that ordered pair would be. It's going to start at -1. What does it go to? Elliot? So, we are at the x's. Is that 7 in x?
Oh,
So, what you're going to want to do is look at your first ordered pair and your last ordered pair. What is that last ordered pair? What is this ordered pair at the end of my segment? Cam?
6 and 1. I mean 5.
So that ordered pair would be 5, 1. So remember, that domain are the x's. So it would go from -1 to what? What's our ending x? Leo? At 5. See how we did that? We found the two x's from the first ordered pair and the last ordered pair. And our domain are all of those x's from the first to the last. So now that we figured out how we did that domain, how are we going to do our range? Remember what the range is. What do you think my first and my last would be, Joe?
7 and 1.
So you could do 7 to 1, you could do 1 to 7, either way, okay? In the book, he said 1 to 7. You could also do it backwards and say 7 to 1. I would give credit for that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Domain are the x's, range are the y's. Joe?
But it would be okay if we did -1, 5, or 5 and -1.
Yes. That would be okay also. Okay. I just didn't point it out because the way it was said matched what was in the book and I didn't think to point it out. So either way, I would give credit for it. All right, so let's work with this a little bit and make sure we know how to do this. We're going to remember the difference between the line and the segment. That line is all the real numbers because it goes on and on and on. It's got the arrows. Our segment has a start and a stop. So that's why we say the domain starts at this number and it stops at this number. So let's look at these three. I want you to put the domain and the range for all three of them, and we're gonna see how we did. So give me the domain and the range for all three of those. Ooh, I like how some of us said, ooh, this one's really easy, I'm gonna put this one right away, because I don't have to do any thinking about it. Which one was the easy one for us to fill in? Evelyn? The second one, why was the second one easy, Evelyn? It's got the arrows, it's the line. So what did you put? Do you remember what it stands for? She put the symbol. What does the symbol stand for? Ellie? All real numbers. Because if it's a line, we know it's all the x's and all the y's. That is the easy one to do. So get that one taken care of right away. Ooh, I can do that quick and easy. So anytime you see that line, put the all real numbers. The other two are segments. So we have to put a little more thought into it. We have to really think to ourselves, which is the x-axis and which is the y-axis. When we were talking about it up top, we kept confusing the two. So an easy way to do it would be to put the ordered pair for our first point, and then put that ordered pair for our second point so we can see our two x's and we can see our two y's. So put your two ordered pairs and then put your x's to your y's. AJ, you got it done? Be careful when you're doing the domain, it should be both x's, not the x and the y. So be careful, I should only see x's for the domain and y's for the range. So think about how I wrote it. Did I put a comma? Is it just this x and this x? So that arrow makes a difference, right? Because we want all the x's connecting up. Same with you. Friends, be careful when we do that domain. I see a lot of us putting commas. When I did it up above, I didn't do a comma for a reason. I did an arrow. Because we want from one x all the numbers up to the next x. So it is important that you put those arrows in, not commas. That domain is not just two x's, it's not just 2 points. It's all the ones in between those 2 points. So on the test, you have to have an arrow. Careful. Is there a 1 as an x? Be careful. Is there a 3 as an x? So when I said it might help you to write your 2 ordered pairs, and then you're going to put from this x all the way to this x is your domain. Right? From 1x all the way to the last x. So what is our first ordered pair? What is this point? Henry?
-4, 1.
-4, 1. What is our second ordered pair at the other end? Leo, what's our x? Not a 3.
Oh, 5.
5 to 3. We have to make sure we put the x first, then the y. So now when we do that domain, we're going to go from one x to the other x. So I was noticing that a lot of us were getting confused and doing x to a y. Write out that ordered pair, both ordered pairs. Then you're going to do from one x to the next x. Then when we do our y's for the range, what's our range gonna be? Ellie?
Well, I was gonna say, I really like it.
Okay, hold on a second. Let's finish it my way first and then you can show your way. Victoria? 1 to 3. So if you write your ordered pairs, you can put your x to your x, and then for your range would be your y to your y. With an arrow, no commas. You put a comma in there, it looks like an ordered pair. We want to show it's the domain and the range from this x all the way to this x. No commas. Elliot, what were you going to say?
For me, I just did it with the line at the end of the folder. If I go down to 100, it's -4. If I go across, it's the number.
So Elliot just looked at it and said, okay, my first x goes down to -4. My last x went all the way to 5. And then he wrote those numbers. And then he said, okay, for my range, I go from 1 to 3. Am I going to mark that right or wrong? Yeah. Remember, there's sometimes different ways of looking at math. We get the same answer. My brain jumped to, oh, let's look at our ordered pairs, and I'm going to put my 2 x's and my 2 y's. Elliot said, well, I'm just going to draw the lines down. We get the same answer. So you're going to figure out which one comes easier for you. On the test, Elliot and I would both get it right because we had the correct answer. So whichever way you do it, as long as you're getting the right answer, it's okay. I like to use the ordered pairs. Elliot wants to use the graph lines, the axis. Whichever one works for you. If you're getting the wrong answers, then I'm going to say, okay, we have to pick one of these ways to really learn it. Okay? So we know our middle one was a line, so it's all real numbers to all real numbers. Who can tell me what the domain is on our last graph? Colton.
-4 to -1.
And when we say 2, -1, we've got that arrow. -4, arrow, -1. Because our x is here and our x is here. What's the range? Ellie?
0 to 5.
Again with that arrow. So 0 to 5. You could have done it with the ordered pairs. You would have had -4, 0, and -1, 5. So you have your X to your Y's. Any questions on that? Now that we've done a few of them, are the domains and ranges making more sense?
Yes.
All right, let's look at our second page. So, our directions say make the XY table with the given domain and range. Make an XY table or graph. So instead of writing the domains and ranges from the table or graph, you're saying, oh, we're going to give you the domain and range, we're going to do it backwards. So if you are given a list of numbers like this with our domain and range, is that going to be a table or a graph? Think back to that first page where we made a list of domains and a list of ranges. Did that come from a table or a graph, Holland? It came from the table, right? If we look back at that first page, when we made our list, it was a table. So if you are given a list, you're going to want to make your table. You're going to put all of your X's, the domains, on the left, and all of the ranges, the Y's, on the right. So I have -4, -1, 6, 0, 2. It is important that you keep them in order because when I put my range, that's how I get my ordered pairs. Okay, so when you see the list, you're going to make a table. Now, over here, our domains and ranges look a little different. We see the X and the Y in the middle. It's the same as saying our domain is from -3 to 5. They're saying that the X is greater than -3 or equal to it, less than or equal to 5. Okay, so they're saying the same thing, it just looks different. So we need to know how to read both of those from what we did on the front to what we're doing here. On the test, if it says what's the range and you did it like this, and the person next to you did it like this, you would both get it right, because they mean the same thing. Okay, we need to know that. On the front, we were practicing writing it this way. This way is another way of showing it. Means the same thing. So if we're going to graph it, I'm not going to put all the numbers on there. It doesn't have to be exact. I'm going to put my x-axis and my y-axis, and I'm going to say about where would -3 be. Negative x's are on the left side. If my ordered pair is those first 2 points, -3, my range is going to start at 2, a +2. So -3 would be about here, +2 would be about there. It doesn't have to be exact. Then I'm going to look at my second ordered pair. +5 would be over here, +4, I would go up, And then I connect my two segments, my 2 points. So do you see how I found my first ordered pair and my second ordered pair? If we had our range like this, and we had 2 to 4, we would do the same thing. You get the same ordered pair. Your X and your Y at the beginning, and your X and the Y at the end, and you connect it with a line. No arrows, because it's a segment. So, down here, am I going to do a graph or a function table? For our next one. Oh, goodness, friends. Graph or function table? Emily. Function table. For this one, am I going to do a graph or a function table? Grace? A graph. Right? So we know what to look for. Am I graphing it or am I doing a function table? If you are doing the function table, put your numbers in order because that X and the Y is going to give us ordered pairs. You need to be in the habit of putting things correctly. If we are graphing it, you don't need to put the numbers, but you do need to logically think, where would my first ordered pair be? Where would my second ordered pair be? Which quadrant? Right? Over on the right, we know it's a positive X, negative X, positive Y. Sorry, positive X, positive Y. Negative X, positive Y. Negative X, negative Y. Positive X, negative Y. So you need to make sure that you're putting your points in the correct quadrants, and then you're connecting them. Any questions on this one? So if you want to check your work, or if you're not quite sure what to do, come over and ask me. Okay? Can't read minds. So make sure you come check with me. Ask me for help. Then when you finish with this, what should you do? Clara?
Math packet.
Before we do the math packet, oh, we don't have comments. What did I talk about at the beginning of class? Madeline,
Extra credit.
go back to yesterday's assignment and do that final one. Did you do it correctly? Some of us took a chance and worked on it. Some of us didn't. Everybody should have that one done tomorrow. So go back to look at that final problem from yesterday's objective and really look, did I put the correct input? Did I put the correct output? Did I write the rule correctly? Okay, so tomorrow I'm going to expect everyone to have done that last one. So real quick, domain is what?
X.
All of the X values. Range is what, Joe? All of the Y values. So make sure when you're writing your domain, it's the X's. When you're writing your range, it's the Y's. So making your ordered pairs with your first point and your last point. If you are watching at home, I hope you are well. I hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day.